Hello and welcome to my channel, Penny Prepper. Today's video we're going to be discussing politics before, during, and after. But before we get started today, I'm going to ask that you click the like button and subscribe if you are into emergency preparedness, the outdoors, and just learning some new skills. I really am trying to hit the 200 mark by the end of September, so I appreciate any subscriptions. Like I said, we're going to be talking about politics. That is not something that I normally cover on my channel. I really try to stay away from topics like that because it is a divisive issue and I'm not trying to put either side on a pedestal, whereas we should all really be united. So when I get into this, I don't want anybody to think I'm leaning left or right or I'm right in the middle. I'm not going to try to put out my political beliefs in this video. However, it is important to understand our system and a possible system after a grid down or collapse, such as martial law. So we'll get right into that. All right, I'm not here to give everybody a political lesson today, but really what you need to realize is no government is going to be perfect. And really without having it in a bubble, it can't always be perfect. Our government was established to really keep us away from the world on a stage. We weren't supposed to really be trading with other countries. We were not supposed to make treaties and go to war with other countries. It was isolationist is the word I'm looking for. Our government was designed to isolate itself from the rest of the world, not get involved with other conflicts. However, we see how that turned out. We are now the world police. Also with that, we have federal, state, local, and even city laws and ordinances that can really make a big difference because something can be legal at the state level and banned at the federal. Marijuana was a big one. That's a great example that until the federal government really eased off of it, you had places like California that were opening shops and the federal government was shutting them down. Really, it comes down to individual rights versus the majority. So if in a true democracy, if everybody believes that everybody should wear a hat in public, let's say 75% of the population, they all vote on that. 75% of the population says, yes, we have to wear hats in public. And then the individual who doesn't want to do that, the 25%, they are the ones who then suffer. If you give rights to some people, you're taking them away from others. So that's what it boils down to is, yes, you're giving the majority what they want. However, the individual has to suffer, even if down the road they decide, hey, I don't want to wear this hat. Well, a majority decided at one point and it's still the majority, so you have to do it. Our government was based on individual rights. That's why we have representatives that represent us, and they are the ones who then go and they are the ones who make the laws and fight for us, essentially. When you think about it, when it comes down to the grid down, and the states are probably going to end up having to make their own laws, and if they're not able to communicate with, let's say, Washington, D.C., a lot of it is going to roll into situations where they may have to make their own rules and govern their populations separate from the government, the main federal government. So where this can really come into its own is, will these states, depending on what their political views are, will they try to confiscate firearms? Will they restrict free speech? Will they have martial law? What will the rules be based on the government that they already have in place? I think a great example of this was during the most recent pandemic, where we really got to see how certain states, depending on their elected officials, either fought for the people or did what they thought was best at the time, or they simply knew what the truth was and they did what they thought was right based on that. Now again, we're getting into the end here where really once there is a grid down situation, there may not be communication with the federal government. States may come into their own and have their own set of rules. Martial law may come into effect. However, it depends. Are these agencies, these state, local, federal agencies, going to enforce the rules that these other agencies are coming out with? And that really is where it's going to come into its own. It depends on the emergency, obviously. Katrina is a great example. There wasn't really much of a police force that could really enforce any rules if and when they put them in place. So you got to take into effect, how's that gonna affect your locality? Then you also need to think, if you're unable to contact your state government or your local government, what are you going to do? Are you going to come up with your own set of rules for the neighborhood? Let's say that you are out in the boonies. Let's say you live in a very small town of maybe, say, 500 people approximately. Are you going to come up, or is that local official going to come up with their own set of rules for everybody to follow? Are you going to come together as a community and try to get through the situation together? Or are you going to try to bring people in? Are you going to try to reach out to other agencies and try to see what the local or the municipal, state, federal is trying to tell you? Now, if it were up to me and we could all go back and set up our government the way that it originally was supposed to be, not getting involved with other people's stuff outside of our own borders, really, I feel like that would be a great way for our country to succeed. However, again, seeing the things that have happened in history, that would have left us out of World War I until who knows what would have happened. It could have possibly gotten to the point where it spilled over to our continent, or maybe say we partnered up or allied with the wrong forces at the wrong time. So obviously hindsight is 2020, but it's something you really got to take into consideration. What political structure would you like to see if there was no rule of law? Would you make your own? Would you make it more of a communist state where the community is coming together, but not making it necessarily a dictatorship like most of them are? All right, that's all we have for today's video. If there's anything you would like to see, please comment and let me know. Stay safe, stay prepared.